Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to continue our system design class from our previous video. All right. In our previous video, we went through the condition statements, looping statements, pseudocodes, UMLs, and we went through some of the types of the UMLs that we have. We realized we have context diagram, we have the use case diagram, the flowchart diagram, sequence entity relation diagram, and we also studied the notations of some of the UMLs, the context, the use case, and the flowcharts, because those were the major UMLs that we'll be treating in this program. All right, in this course. So before we start, today we are going to do pseudocodes and flowcharts, as I spoke about in the previous video. All right, so before we continue, one of my online students asked me a question concerning the logic of a system. That he is able to do the front end, he has mastered front end, and is able to submit records from his front end to the database. But his issue was on the logic of the system. So he was worried. It's like, oh, so how do I do that? I was like, oh, okay. The whole thing is, if we're able to master your pseudocodes very well, the pseudocode holds the logic of your system. So if the pseudocode is well structured, okay, if it's well structured, it's easier to transform all the flows. All right. So if everybody sees the pseudocodes, you'll be able to extract whatever you want to do from the pseudocode. So during the development time, the developer can just focus on the pseudocode and get a flow of the logic. All right. So when I post this one here, at this time I have to check a decision here. At this time I have to do this. At this time I have to do that. Okay. So the pseudocode serves as a blueprint of the whole project that you are doing. All right. That is why I've taken my time to, master you on the pseudocode. All right, because some people jump the pseudocode. Many of the developers, they jump the pseudocode and they just hit straight to the work. I know they develop a system which will work for a short time and will not be sustainable. Over a period of time, it wouldn't be working as it's supposed to work. Okay, all right. So as usual, we'll flip to the classroom mode. And as we go through the pseudocodes and the flowchart. But in this time around, you're not going to only listen to my voiceover as I'm doing it, and I'm going to also be part of you. So I'll put my video myself at the corner there. So it's a classroom, so you have to see me as well, and so that you'll be able to see my gestures whilst I'm doing the designs and other things. Okay, all right. So we end here and go and flip to the classroom mode. Okay, so now we are in the classroom mode. All right, so now we are in the classroom mode, and as I was talking about, we have a recap from last week's presentation, and now let me try to maximize it. So this is the last week presentation that we did. We went through the notations of the flowchart diagram, and we realized these are the symbols that we mostly use when we are doing the flowchart diagrams. Okay, then we went through these examples too. So today these are the examples that we are going to build our flowcharts on. Okay, build our flowcharts on the attendance system. So after this, we'll at least appreciate how we transform the pseudocodes to the flowchart diagram too. Last week, we were able to transform the pseudocodes to context diagram, pseudocodes to use case diagram. And today, we are going to learn how to transform the pseudocodes to a flowchart diagram. All right. So, in order for us to be on the same page, let's try to bring this one here, resize it, so that we'll see it very well. All right, so this is a pseudocode. We realize the pseudocode has a start and end, then the content flows between the two. So we have the start and the end, then the other steps follows in between the boundaries. All right, and to the right side here we have our draw.io software, if you haven't downloaded or installed this software, you have to just go back to one of the videos that that has been captioned installing prerequisite materials. All right, but hey, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, kindly hit the subscription button and let's move on. All right, good. It helps the group to grow. All right, it all counts. All right, so we have our notations here. Now we are doing a flowchart diagram, and a flowchart diagram, we have a start and end, and all of them are represented by this oval, this ellipse, if you remember this ellipse. All right, it's ellipse. How you pronounce it. People call it ellipse. Somebody will call it ellipse. All right. Okay, so I'll bring my oval symbol here, presenting the start. I'll resize it. Okay. Then let me reduce the size a bit. Okay. So I have my start here. Now it's telling me to gather biodata. So gather biodata here means I have to display something to the user to collect the information, the data. All right. So I'll go and use this symbol. That'll be my next symbol. All right. Then it says validate the data received. If data received, so if there's a decision plan here, all right, there's a decision something here, all right, so I have to decide if the data received is valid. All right, so with that one, I'll go for my diamond symbol. Now bring it here. Let me resize it so that it will be able to accommodate the text I'll put in. Let me also bring this one to, let me try to resize it a bit so that they can also accommodate. Let me make sure they are all in line, that they can also accommodate. So if data received is positive, insert record to is a process. So I will insert and print. So I'll insert and print. So I'll bring this rectangle here. And yeah, I'll bring this here if it is positive. Then I'll bring this here. Alright. So there's a process and there's a display. Process and display. Else display error message and flow back. Alright, so I'll display an error message here and flow back. Alright, so I'll display a message here. Then I'll now go back to gathering the data. Okay, then I'll end. So this will flow from here to this place and comes in here. Then I'll end here. Let me end here. Here, this side will be okay. So I'll end here. So let me just resize them and position them well. So you see, all this flow, okay, these objects have been placed here on this draw interface from the steps that we have here, the pseudocode. Okay, do you get it? So you see how simple it is. So if you understand the pseudocode well, drawing this one will become very easy for you. Do you get it? It's fun. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's just simple. Okay. All right. So now let me put the flow. Okay. Let me connect the flow. So here it flows down here. Okay. It flows down here. This one to flow down here. This will also go here. This will also connect to this one will end it. All right, so make sure they are all in line. The beauty of the diagram too counts, it makes it clear. The clarity also counts. All right, okay, so we now let's put our captions in there and see how the interpretation here will sync to the pseudocode that we have here. Okay. All right. So we double click in a symbol, then we have the ability to type in something there. So here is the start. We have the start. Then the first one, we also double click. So the first one here is gather staff data. Okay. So we say enter staff data. Then we come here. Then we say we will type data, let me put it is data received valid with a question mark, because it's a question. Every decision is a question. So if yes, then we tell the system to insert data into staff table, then print okay, then we print data saved successfully. So this is what we print. Okay, then we end. All right, so we end it there. Then here we are saying is data received. Let me make it look nice. Okay, let me just stretch this. All right, something nice. Okay, so we are saying go back here. All right, we are saying is data received valid. If it is valid, then it flows this way. If it's not, we display an error message. Okay, so we print error message. Okay, print our error message. Okay, then it flows back to the enter. All right, so here let me bring in this. So now I'll bring my arrow here to join. So I want you to join this in a nice way. Okay, all right, so you have to come back a bit to close the gap. All right, so you get the flow. Very simple, very simple. All right, so here we want to now write something here. So if this one is yes, this will not allow us to write something here. All right, but let's put the text here. Then we write if yes, then we can put another text here. Then we write no. Good. So now let's read this flow. You realize this one and the pseudocode down here, they are all the same. They are all the same, but we've transformed the text to a graphical mode. You realize that was pseudocode definition that we gave in the previous video. We have transformed the text here, the English-like language, to a visual view, a diagram view that technical people can understand. With this one, we the technical guys, we like diagram. Myself, I like diagrams a lot. You get it? I learn with diagrams. If I see diagram, hey, I'm happy because I like doing models and other things. All right, so let's see if the flow that we have here syncs to the same flow that we have here as well. All right, so let's see. We have start. I have my start here. Enter staff data. gather staff bio. All right, so all of them will be here. Then we validate. So if data received is valid, if it's valid, then if yes, the yes is the then. So if yes, insert data into staff table. We have insert data into staff table here. Then you print data saved successfully. So you print data saved successfully. Then you end. All right. Else, if the received data is not valid, it should print error message. So it means if the data received here is not valid, if that is a no, it should print an error message for us. Do you get it? You see how simple it is? So when you print the error message, it doesn't end it, but it rather flows back to entering the data again, going to step 2. All right. So over here we have to add something here. We have to update this one and say print the error message and go to step 2. Okay. So that is how. So we have print error message, go to step 2. So we have printed the error message here, and we have bounced back to step 2. Okay. So that is the flow. So in here we can also add some things to it to make it more descriptive. All right. So we can add into bracket name, comma, age, comma, sex, phone, etc, etc. So we can just resize it so that to be accommodated. All right, so have it. So this is the simple flowchart diagram, very simple flowchart diagram for creating the staff of the attendance system. That's simple flowchart diagram. All right, so we go to the next one, which is this. All right, so this one is creating staff login. So let's try to save what we've just done. Okay, so let's try to save it. So we click on the save as. Sorry, we click on the file. Let me go back. So let's try to save. We click on the file, then go to save as. Then we choose our desktop. Then we enter flow chart diagram 1. All right. 1. Then we save. So we don't. Okay, let's change the type to PNG. Okay, so we save it. We are done with that one. All right. So now let's move to the second point, the second flow. This flow looks a bit complicated, but after we are done drawing it, you realize it's very simple. Okay, very simple. All right. So don't let the nested if here scare you up. All right. Okay. So let's go to new. Control N. You can use these shortcuts to Control N. You can just use Control N. A new one will load. Go here and choose blank. Great. And let me resize it. Let me bring this one here. Okay. Anyway, so we have the start and we have the end. So I'll bring my ellipse to start. Then what does it say? We have to enter the staff gather. So we have to receive. So use this symbol, the parallelogram, bring it here. They're in line. Okay, they're in line. Then we validate some things. here. So we are going to validate the entries. So we bring our decision table with decision symbol here. Then with our first validation, second validation, we validate to see. So if staff name and password are valid, if they are valid, then compare. So if they are valid, we have to compare another one again. So bring another decision table, decision table. we bring another decision symbol here to do another recheck. All right, so let me bring it here. Okay, good. So after this, we do another one here. Then if this nested one, okay, is valid, then we call a procedure. So we bring, it's a process, we call a procedure. All right, then we are done. This one ends it. Okay, this is, you see the nested if looks complete. It looks plenty over here, but it's very its representation is very simple in a flowchart diagram. Okay, so we end it. So then we end it here. We end it here. All right, very simple, very simple. Wow. Okay, so now let's add a test to them and let's see. So we start, then we enter I'll call it login credentials. Okay, login data. Login data. All right, into brackets, let me say, to make it more descriptive, I'll say staff name and staff password. Okay, so let me resize it. Yeah, so that it will appear nice. All right, then we say, okay, is login data valid? Question mark. All right, is it valid? If yes, do something, because yeah, if yes, we are doing this. If no, we are going back to step 2. All right, that's awesome. So if yes, we come back here. So let's resize this one too. So if yes, we are saying we are comparing. So we'll also say, let me do a copy and paste here. We are now checking if we are here, we are in the nested if. So we are checking if the login data is found. So if login data found, if that one too is found, then it should now process. Okay, so it should now call the procedure, the redirect procedure. So we say now call redirect procedure. All right, the redirect procedure has a function name, has a procedure name called, let me say, redirect user. Okay, let me just make this one a square brace. Okay, so I'll bring the square brace here to differentiate between this parenthesis and the square brace. Okay, all right, so that's a procedure that we've called. So let me just expand it. All right, so I have it this way. All right, then here I write my end here to end the whole process. Good. So now let's bring our connectors. Okay, let me expand it a bit. Okay, so this one connects to this. Let me just align it. This one joins this. Okay, let me expand this one well. Okay, so now let's go back to the flow. we have start, gather staff name and staff password, the login data. We have the enter login data. We validate entries. If the login data valid, so if login data valid, then proceed. If not, you should go to step 2. So let's bring a connector to connect us to step 2. Okay. So connect us to step 2. I want you here. I want you here. Okay. Okay, so that is the no. So let me see if I can. Okay, so if no, and if yes, the distance is too small. So let me just bring the test here to write my yes. Okay, good. Now here too. Alright, so we're now here. So if the login data is not found, we are going back to step 2. So if not, we are going back to step 2. Else, so the else, we do another test here. We check and see if the login data is found in a database. Alright, we compare and see if it's found in the database. Then we proceed. Else, we go back to step 2. So if yes, let me do copy and paste. So if yes, it goes here. If no, alright, if it's not found, we go back to step 2. Good, so let me bring a connector to join the 2. Make it nice. Alright, so we get the flow here. Then we are done. So this nested if, you see, nested if, its appearance looks scary, but its implementation looks very simple. Very simple. As you can see, all right, it looks very simple. So let's check the flow again. We start, all right, we enter login data we have here. We check the data, the login data, and see if they are valid. If not, we go back to step 2 and re-enter it again. So if we re-enter and it's positive, it's yes, it's valid, we check and see if the login data is found in our database, all right. If it's not found in our database, we move up here. Else, we call the procedure to redirect the user. All right, so as indicated here, these 5 bullets, that is what has been represented here graphically. So let me just bring my no here, if no. All right, so this brings us to the end of this presentation. Okay, so you see how we implemented we transformed the pseudocodes to flowchart diagram. Okay. All right, see how simple it is. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. If you meet any computer science student or any developer who preaches the concept of programming or computer science, anything too difficult or too scary to you, kindly tell the person, hey, you should preach the good news, okay, and stop preaching the bad news. That is how it is. All right. So at this point, if you haven't still subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe to my channel, because in the next video we are going to start the actual work. Actually we'll start by creating our own website. All right, we'll start by creating our own website, which is very, 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 very simple. So the website we're going to create it in 2 folds: 1 using the easy part, and 2 using the the programming part. All right. So I want the thing to be in such a way that since we started our journey till now, we have to also, get something to boost off. All right, I have developed this website for myself. All right, so that's why I'm bringing that one in here, to revive our vim, our energy. Okay, all right. So thank you for being with me. All right, through the beginning of the first video till this video. All right, you've been with us since. Thank you very much, and for having time to watch my videos every week. Thank you very much to you once again. All right, if you have any comments, any suggestion, any other thing that you want to discuss with me, feel free and drop them in the comment box, and I'll gladly respond to them accordingly. If you want to join my online classes too, feel free and send me a mail. Okay, send me a mail. You can drop it in the comment box. I'll come and respond to it. Then we take it from there. All right. Okay. See you in my next video. Bye bye.